And once again, welcome to Bakleben. Today we are making a buttermilk bread in a casserole dish. Something nice to make, easy to make, and really, really delicious. Our buttermilk bread is a lovely mixed bread with a slight acidity from the good buttermilk. It should always be processed lukewarm because it ferments better that way. And to make such a nice bread, we need the following ingredients. A casserole dish with a lid, which I have previously greased with butter. Wheat flour and rye flour, salt, yeast, a little beet syrup, 20 ml balsamic vinegar, and of course lukewarm buttermilk. So we are now taking our dough out of the machine. It has now had 8.5 minutes of kneading time. It always depends a little on that. How warm do you make the buttermilk? How does your flour bind? Varying greatly from region to region, differently. But somewhere in between lies the right kneading time. When I look at this dough now, it is soft, it is warm, that's how it should be, that's nice. I have now dusted it once. I place it on the table so you can see how it feels. That's exactly how it should be. It goes back into our bowl. Oops, that was a bit loud. Lid on and for an hour in our famous warm place so it can rise nicely. And in an hour, we'll see each other again. Then we'll open it, place it in this beautiful casserole dish. And then I'll explain to you how it continues. See you soon. Our buttermilk bread has now been resting for an hour in the dough resting phase. If you take a look now, compared to the first images, you can see how much volume has been added. This dough has risen beautifully. It is still warm. And here you can see, for those who don't know, how far along is my dough and when is it ready. If it has such cracks, such markings, then it needs to be further processed. That's what we're going to do now. A little flour, of course, so it doesn't stick to the table. Impossible otherwise. Out with a swing, and I'm not doing much more with the dough now. I have my baking dish here. I pull and fold it a bit. I don't completely press it together. You can already see how easily I shape it into a small loaf. And it doesn't have to be perfectly precise, just rolled once, briefly. Because it's going into a baking dish. This baking dish is a standard size, as I said, buttered. I now place the whole thing briefly in flour with the top side, and then with the seam side down into the dish. My bread will stay now. The lid goes on, and I place the whole thing in a warm place for another 30 minutes to let it rise again. Then I briefly remove the lid and make 3 quick lengthwise cuts with a knife. And then the bread goes into the fridge for 2 minutes. 220 degrees with the lid closed, without steam, into the oven. The special feature is that the oven is still cold at the moment I put it in. I only turn on the 220 degrees then, so it heats up slowly. It stays there for about an hour and then it's all done. So, shall we wait now until it's ready? And then we'll continue with our scoring and putting it in the oven. Our buttermilk bread is now at the stage in its proofing where it can go into the oven. You can also clearly see it if you look through here. I don't know if you can see it. There are nice little bubbles. I'll briefly take off. The lid now. 1, 2, 3 cuts. Lid back on. And now it goes into the cold oven. Convection. I then turn it on to 220 degrees. And after an hour it should be good. buttermilk bread has now been in the oven for an hour. As you can see, a nice bread baked in the loaf pan. 5 minutes before the end of baking, I took off the lid and reduced the temperature to 195 degrees so that it gets a bit more browning on the surface. It doesn't need much. I think it looks quite good. It smells excellent. And I'm going to take it out of the pan now. As you can hear, it is done. Yes. This is a bread with a nice rounded flavor from the buttermilk, which represents a nice mixed bread that is actually easy to make, doesn't require much work, and everyone can enjoy eating well. I would simply say it is a bread that you can make well every day and make good use of. I find it delightful. I wish you the same fun I have in making something like this. Enjoy your meal and have lots and lots of fun when you bake it yourself.